Okay, now this is a first. It's a webinar, and this is my way of doing the fourth day. I have just a sparse few note cards without much written on them. But we're about to do day 5 of the trip. Barehead, as I recall it, sitting here, satisfied and recharged, part 5. Or a trip to Barehead Lake State Park. I have a sidekick for this endeavor, and she's laughing because I'm on a roll. Thursday, October 2, in which there is, get out of there! Dan gets his walleye, and the lazy river. So, we woke up, oh, my note card. We woke up on, how about that? Shot of courage. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We got up Friday morning. Do you like the backdrop? We got up Friday morning, kind of into the groove still, had a typical morning, one of Sharon's wonderful breakfast, and we decided that we weren't going to try to go too crazy to get out of there right away. So we slowly, leisurely packed things up. Actually even took a last walk down to the lake, was it? Things are starting to get so fuzzy.
Yeah, we did.
I'm seeing everything through a mist. Actually, as I recall things, everything was in a mist. But yeah, we checked out the lake one more time. Didn't really get to fish again, but it's probably, the fish don't care. Yeah. So we finished that off. Didn't really do a fire the last morning either because it rained that night when we finally thought we were going to have stargazing. So came back up, loaded up leisurely. We're going to take our time getting out of there. Now, we originally were looking at a couple, we had talked about maybe stopping by the Sudan mine, which element of history I might not have added if I was having to type this, but the Sudan mine, the conditions down in the mine were so infernal, right? And underground, the deepest one in Minnesota. I'm looking over here for...
That's a bald-faced lie.
that was... But
I think he was joking that he called it Sudan because it was nothing like...
It's very cold for all the miners that were up there, and so they started calling it the Sudan mine, and in fact that stuck through history, so it's the Sudan mine. But that would have required taking... Everything you do with this family of 4 of us these days takes a tremendous amount of time, so we elected to just kind of stay on target, and rather than taking a long sort of iffy scenic route, we were kind of like, because we were trying to hold on for like a good restaurant, or like and this sort of became evident here on this final day that I had all along, I had been looking forward for 2 months at some like really classy, wonderful Northwoods restaurant with some local, craft brew beer, and Sharon had thought we were maybe going to have yet another sort of camp picnic lunch along the way. And I hope this doesn't look awkward, so I'm looking over to my sidekick. But anyway, so I finally made my needs known, and we headed into Duluth.
I respected his needs.
Well, we had to head pretty much straight there and at full warp speed because we needed to, and Rose was sleeping, and all these factors were in place. We needed to eat soon. Rose was sleeping. Let's just get to Duluth. And it actually didn't happen until early afternoon, maybe 1:30 or so. I'm not even using these note cards, but
I'm not responsible for the inaccuracies.
Yeah, I can't be blamed. We thought it was actually Sharon's idea, and I had been thinking the exact same thing long before we had, gotten to the point of the trip, that we do these days off in the wilderness, and then on the last day we come back to civilization, have a wonderful night at some like super developed hotel. You're like, let's get the fancy, I mean not fancy like 5-star, but like fanciest with like fun amenities for the young and youthful at heart. And we picked a place called the Edgewater, which we didn't realize we had stayed at, like the Edgewater Express across the street, and didn't really realize this was all about Sharon and I years ago. But it's a place built for kids. It's you can actually see Lake Superior. It's like right across 35 from the lake, but like 100 yards from the lake or less, probably less. It's got a water park, indoor water park with like all these attractions and stuff, and we didn't realize. Well, we'll get to some more of the amenities in a couple minutes.
Particular amenities.
Well, a few, but one in particular. So we checked in there, and I'm like raring to go, but I found that the water park didn't open till 3 o'clock anyway. So we were like, "Oh, is there a good place to eat?" And this guy said, "Well, there's this Blackwoods Inn that's a good a good Duluth restaurant. It's just right down the street." It's like 2 o'clock, maybe not quite 2. We had to follow the instructions. There it is, like a block away, and I was like, everything's coming together because we're gonna eat our. This is a wonderful little restaurant, really unique place. It had like a working train and like going around little model houses and stuff up along the. What do they call those in wallpaper near the top of the wall?
The border.
The border strip. Instead of that, it was a recess with like villages and stuff where this train would go around, circle the whole thing. They had a fish tank built in the wall, and a small craft beer selection I got in, and pale ale from North Shore Brewery, incorrectly identified as like a dark amber lager or something. Like the woman was talking out of her ass. It was clearly a pale ale. So anyway, Dan gets his walleye